Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is August the 13th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. It's a solid Tuesday for me. Work was kind of busy. They were kind of late on changing out the trash, but I used that opportunity to play some games on my phone, so that was fun. But yeah, it's a little bit backed up, kind of, but like I feel like the way the pace of work is, we're still pretty slow. I was more or less able to catch up, so that felt good. Let's see here. Food corner from last night. I made a Mexican beef and rice bowl. Pretty classic, pretty staple. Let's see here. I didn't fry the tortillas this time, all pan. So there's that. Nothing, other than that, nothing special, nothing new. Same old same. But like I said, I feel good. I feel like I'm in a good place, you know. I'm kind of tracking my parallels from week to week. And I'm like, hey, I feel like your head's a little better, bud. And I'll take that, you know. Anyway, yeah, we talked about the food. We talked about myself. Let's go ahead and do our startup and get into some news. Hopefully it sounds good to ya. Oh, yeah. All right. Our first story comes from The Hill. 5 takeaways from the Trump Musk conversation on X, the Everything app. They didn't say that last part. I did. Anyway, I will say if I had a bad moment of my day, it was about the hour and a half I sat and listened to this stupid ass fucking interview. And I like that, like, in some circles, they're not even calling it an interview. They're calling it a conversation. Like, essentially, Musk got Trump on his little app, Spaces, which is, you know, on X or whatever. We've actually had a similar situation before where we talked about Ron DeSantis and Trump. Literally, that shit was a fucking disaster. Started late. I think the shit dropped like at least one or two times in that situation. I believe at one point you even could hear one of the motherfuckers pissing. It was crazy. So the bar was very low. So I guess in some ways they did do better on this one for Big Daddy. So that's good. I guess they really respect Trump on this one. But that being said, they started 40 minutes late. I didn't even know this. Like, honestly, I kind of wasn't planning on listening. But I guess because it started so late, I had like gotten out of the shower. I was like, pretty chill. So I was like, I mean, I got time. It's right here. I'll just go ahead and listen. So I decided to sit down. And this shit was 2 hours long total. Yeah, oh, it was so bad. I kind of just want to riff on most of it, but we might read a little bit, take a little bit of excerpts from this article. Former President Trump spoke Monday with Tesla founder Elon Musk on X, which Musk owns, marking Trump's most significant return to the social media platform since he was reinstated on it in 2023. I know he had posted a picture of him, I think like during like the trial or some shit, or when it was when he got convicted. He had posted, I think, a photo on X then. But then he had, hours leading up to the conversation, he had posted some tweets, which is technically not good for Trump's brand. Like, literally, he's making money off of Truth Social, and his stock went down, like, leading up to the interview and the actual interview. Now, I'm sure, you know, over time it might bounce back depending on how much he tweets, you know, post everything, you know, via the conversation. But, you know, it took a bit of a dive. So it was kind of a bit of a compromise here for Trump to come on and talk with Trump. But I don't think he really minds. I don't think Trump's really worried about money, especially at this point. So yeah, they just went into a big old yap sesh. And like Trump or Elon tries to like market this as like, hey, This isn't going to be like a typical style. I'm not going to come at Trump in any kind of way. I want this to be open, and I want Trump, to just be relaxed and like have like a real conversation with me. And then just more or less proceeds to just suck this guy off for like 2 hours. Meanwhile, trying to kind of get his points in too. So it's a lot of like Trump's talking, and then like Elon is like, yeah, 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 yeah. And then like talking over him. And they're just talking at each other, through each other, and like, but at the same time, once again, it's Elon Musk glazing this man off like any chance he kind of can. It's like, yeah, you're the one, we love you, you're definitely doing it, we're so glad that you didn't get fucking assassinated, which is very annoying because Trump at the rally says, hey, I'm only going to talk about this shit one time, and then he goes into details about this shit again. It's like, bro, we get it, you almost died, if only you hadn't looked at the illegal immigration graph, but you did. So like, can we just move on? Like, everyone else is like kind of wrap this shit up, just please. Anyway, let's see here. Let's read a little bit further here. At its peak, Monday's Spaces had more than 1 million listeners. Now, a bit of a follow-up. Elon Musk is trying to like milk this even harder. He's like, actually, it's at 1 billion now, like in terms of people who have been listening. It's like, bro, okay, this is very after the fact, man. Like, really, people give a fuck about it in the moment. 1 million's not that big, in my opinion. But, I mean, hey, we've talked about the value of 1 million the other day. Let's scroll ahead. They say overall, like in this article, he didn't really like fuck up too bad, and I would agree, but he did say some crazy shit. Like, I think the biggest highlight for me that really stuck in my head and my craw was like obviously they're going to say some fucked up shit about immigration. I mean, 99% of what this dude said was a lie, and like, once again, Musk just kind of egged it on. But just saying that like pretty much all of these people who are coming over, all these illegal immigrants, are like lazy, stupid, like the dregs of society, no one wants them, like, and like they're fleeing their country, and if they ever came back, like they would get shot on arrival, like shit like that. And it's like, dog, you're just saying shit. You're just like saying the intro of Scarface over and over and over again. And it's very frustrating because if you put a fact check to any of this shit, you find it very lacking. And then meanwhile, you have Musk trying to like color it up like, yeah, no, actually, we just want legal immigrants, like me, the South African, who has also been here illegally, technically, at times. He's got it worked out. Of course, money fixes all things. But it's like, come on, dude. Like, what are you saying? Oh, we just want a bunch of people to help us do tech work, and then like any of the like real workers, no, fuck them. Like, no, at the end of the day, they are as much of a part of this American dream as anybody fucking else. And it's just very frustrating to keep having this fucking conversation. And of course, they're angling about, the immigration shit. They're angling about the economy. They're saying, hey, that's all on Biden. That's all on crazy Kamala. They talk about education, which though Trump tried to say, hey, I'm not doing any of the Project 2025 shit, like who okayed that? Not me. He's echoing shit from that, like talking about more or less eliminating the Department of Education and just saying like, hey, worst case scenario, about 35 of the 50 states, they're going to be A-okay. No worries. The rest, who knows? And it's like, why would you say this shit so confidently? It's wild to me, but all right, okay. Let's see. I'll tell you one thing they definitely didn't talk about: abortion. I didn't hear that mentioned at all. I mean, maybe it was, but if so, it was very minor and then moved aside. They wanted to talk about climate change, or at least it felt like maybe Elon Musk did, maybe a little bit more so. Trump tries to kind of say like, yeah, it's a thing, but what's more of a thing? Nuclear. He said nuclear warming, bro. He said nuclear warming is a thing, in which he's trying to say that more of the Axis, more of the evil countries are like arming themselves with nuclear power, and they're gonna use it for evil, and that's more of a concern than us boiling alive. Like. It's like, all right, dog, that's cool. I love that. That's a crazy pivot, bro. That's so cool. So that was interesting. And once again, Musk, the clever yes man, is trying to like say, okay, all right, but then also, like, literally his bread and butter is EVs. Like, so he's trying to say like, yeah, oil is good. Meanwhile, Trump's like, yeah, drill, baby, drill. And it's like, okay, but also, I want to look towards sustainability in the future. And like, so yeah, oil and gas, that's great and all. I want to work with that. I'm not naying that, but like also EVs. And it's like, Dog, this is so cooked. It's just it was such a weird, confusing conversation. But yet it wasn't, because it was just more or less Trump's stump speech for 2 hours with Elon Musk just saying, "Yeah, dude, that's great. I think you're great. I think it's either you or we're all gonna die." It was wild. It was a very just messy conversation. I mean, hey, much like an Isaiah's Newsstand episode, really. So, I mean, hey, but once again, I'm not making millions of dollars for this shit, okay? All right? So, I'm missing one crucial thing from up top. He was 40 minutes late to start the shit, right? He tries to say, Elon Musk tries to say, actually, the reason we were late, it was a denial of service attack. It was a DDoS attack. That's what happened. And it's like, dog, no one believes you. No one believes you. None of the motherfuckers on this app, none of the media, nobody. And you damn sure believe, I don't believe that shit. Fuck out of here, bro. Everything else in the app was working. The Everything app, it was fine, except Spaces, which is always shitty when you actually get a real group of motherfuckers in here and you're trying to do a fucking real event. Shit just breaks. So, but once again, to reemphasize, it wasn't as bad as the Meatball Ron shit, okay? That was terrible. That was a terrible Spaces call. That was not it. Whereas, like, I guess for Trump, it was his grade of perfect. You would call it the perfect Spaces call. And we'll leave it there. I've kind of rambled, and it's hard because, like, of course I'm missing things, but I don't even feel bad because you really have to, like, have listened to this shit to really get it. But I wouldn't advise you to. It's like bad jazz. It's not good. It's not what you want. But I mean, hey, maybe it is. Maybe the Hogs cranked it to that shit. I don't know. My two favorite people on the same call. Oh my god, this is perfect. All right. Let me move on. Sadly, we got to get to some sad shit. From the Associated Press, officer faces murder charge in shooting of pregnant black woman who was accused of shoplifting. Now this is a update from like a year ago. I talked about the story and then wind up, kind of leaving it, but this is a big update, so here we are again. An Ohio police officer was indicted Tuesday on murder and charges in the shooting of Takia Young, a 21-year-old pregnant black mother who was killed after being accused of shoplifting last August. Young was suspected of stealing bottles of alcohol when Blendon Township police officer Connor Grubb and a fellow officer approached her car. The other officer ordered her out. Instead, she rolled forward towards Grubb, who fired a single bullet through her windshield into her chest. The daughter she was expecting 3 months later also died. A Franklin County grand jury indicted Grubb on charges of murder, involuntary manslaughter, and felonious assault in the death of Young and her baby. He is scheduled to be arraigned in court Wednesday. A warrant for his arrest was issued as a part of the indictment. Excuse me. Brian Steele, president of the union representing Blendon Township Police, called the indictment deeply disappointing. Like all law enforcement officers, Officer Grubb had to make a split-second decision, a reality all too familiar for those who protect our communities, he said in a statement. I disagree with this because at the end of the day, this man chose to put himself in front of this car and then be like, stop, and then say, oh, I'm going to shoot you. Like, no, that's what these officers in tandem really decided to do. Like, and it's like, well, they were, in the line of duty, This is shoplifting. Like, I remember even saying this shit. At the end of the day, you can move the fuck aside and get this person later. The crime will be active. You can get them for that shit. You know what I mean? Like, this is anecdotal. I was literally talking to a coworker who tells me he got a fucking ticket in 94, and they made him pay that shit now. And he was like, I was 23 when I did this shit. It was like a ticketing thing. And they finally got me on this shit. They finally pulled my card and said, you have to pay this shit. You cannot get your tags or anything. And it's like, that's crazy that they can wait this long. And he's like, we get into the whole details of the story, yada, yada, yada. But he's like, at the end of the day, it's like, they can just they will get their man. At the end of the day, the house always wins. They did not have to have this fucking line of duty, pull your gun out, shoot you shit. And it actually turns out that this is a part of the protocol to not do that. So I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Because I also realized too that that's kind of like sadly my conditioning here, where it's like, yeah, I just assume these guys have a license to kill. Like it's totally fine. Let me read ahead here. let me see here. Some departments around the U.S. prohibit officers from firing at or from moving vehicles. And law enforcement groups such as the Police Executive Research Forum say shooting in such circumstances creates an unacceptable risk to bystanders from stray gunfire or the driver losing control of the vehicle. The Blendon Township Police Department's use of force policy says officers should try to move away from an approaching vehicle instead of firing their weapons. An officer should only shoot when he or she reasonably believes there is no reasonable means available to avert imminent threat of the vehicle, or if deadly force other than the vehicle is directed at the officer or others. So it's like, dude, you don't have to make this decision to pull the trigger and kill someone. You just don't have to. You can let this motherfucker get away today and get them another day. This is over bottles of alcohol. It's not that serious. And I know motherfuckers, I'm sure, have been in some kind of forums and chats and shit, or they will be in the near future because now this is hitting a trial, which makes it more of a national thing, that they're going to be like, look at this. This is a person who is stealing alcohol and they're pregnant. And they're going to talk about the victim and say how they deserve this shit. They are going to paint and angle it like that. I guarantee it. But you literally see here in the training that it's like, no, this is a problem. And I'm sure these motherfuckers are back in the blue. They even do it all the way throughout this article, at least from the people they quote. And it's like, okay, cool, I get it. But even you guys understand that it's like, the law is moving here saying this isn't wrong, this isn't right. And a grand jury has said, yeah, no, we think this is not good. This should go to trial. So now let's see. You know what I mean? This guy's been on like, what is it? I think paid leave or some shit like that. I know I should probably have that detail at the ready, but I do not. Let me see here. Let me just read from this part. Blendon Township Police Chief John Belfort said the department has started a disciplinary review now that Grubb has been indicted. A full-time officer with the township since 2019, Grubb has been on paid administrative leave since the shooting. So there we go. His personnel file showed he had no disciplinary history on the job, his first as a police officer. Oh, he's been squeaky clean up until then just murdered someone. So yeah, like I said, then they back him. That's cool. Love to see that. Whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna keep you posted on this shit. This is a big update. But yeah, you know, at least silver lining is that at least it's gonna go to trial. You know, it's not gonna be something that's brushed under the rug. So you know, we'll count it. Let's go ahead and move on to the next thing. Sadly, another fucking injustice. From Complex. I actually love getting articles from Complex. I used to read Complex magazine as a kid, so that's kind of cool. Anyway, ex-University of Kentucky student seen saying the N-word 200 times pleads guilty to racist attack. Sophia Rossing, the former University of Kentucky student who was filmed attacking a black dorm desk clerk last year, has pleaded guilty to assault charges. On Monday, the 23-year-old pleaded guilty to 4 counts of fourth-degree assault, 1 count of disorderly conduct, and 1 count of public intoxication in Fayetteville County Circuit Court, according to her attorney, Fred Peters. Rossing is facing up to 1 year in jail and 100 hours of community service, and her sentencing is scheduled for October 17th. A lot of things got said. Apologies were made, and we worked it out, Peters said in a statement. She has a lot of time to think about what she has done, and she has wrote a nice letter of apology. Kyla Spring, the woman who Ross attacked in the video, told WLEX that she didn't believe Rossing was being genuine with her apology. According to Spring, Rossing needs to show she's remorseful through her actions. I feel that a person is remorseful, takes actions that are moving towards proving they are remorseful, Spring said, not just words. I tend to agree with that. Though I get it, you know, you're going to go through the procedure of saying, hey, I'm going to say or do whatever the fuck I can to like make this go away or light as possible. But yeah, if you're truly apologetic, then like, okay, let's see that change. You'll see it in how you move and how you act after the fact. But it's crazy. It's crazy that some of the shit she says. Let's read ahead. Rossing's drunken actions that night were filmed and showed her attacking Spring while calling her the N-word over 200 times. Spring said in a video that Rossing hit her several times and even kicked her in the stomach. The girl started saying things like, do my chores. It's not my fault that you're black. It's not my fault that you're ugly. And at this point, she's singing the N word. Spring said at the time. She's like singing the N word. Said Spring at the time. When police arrived, Rossing continued her violent behavior and allegedly attacked and bit an officer who arrested her. The president of the University of Kentucky expelled Rossing and banned her from the campus following the attack. A grand jury formally indicted her last year. So, I mean, she was wilding, dude. Like, this is just a full-on case of, like, I'm getting real drunk, I'm getting real reckless, and she just went full wildcat offense, you know? And just added the racist twang on top of that shit. It's like, that's not necessary. Like, literally alone, it's a verbal assault. Like, saying the N-word 200 times on top of all the other shit you peppered in, that's crazy. But then the fact that it's like, yeah, you also are getting physical throughout this whole process, it's insane. And it's like, sorry, I was just drunk, I was just woo girling. It's like, no, dude. Like, so it's like, I get it. I get if I'm in Spring's situation, like, I'm not just gonna take a fucking letter and you saying sorry, maybe with some tears in your eyes or not, I don't fucking know. But it's like, that doesn't mean shit to me until I see that you're actually a better person. You're not doing this shit again, you know? And maybe she doesn't even ever feel that way until she sees it, or maybe she never does. I get it. That's crazy to literally have to endure that kind of shit, man. Like, that's wild as fuck. And people act like racism is dead. Okay. Okie dokie. Anyway, we have one more thing I wanted to cover, and then I'll let you go. It's a hot one. Let me go ahead and take my last break, and we'll close it out. Ooh. Double dip the chip. I'm sorry. Ooh. Oh boy. Ooh. Oh boy. From Al Jazeera. How serious are the wildfires near Athens, Greece? It's burning, man. Actually, I think they did get it under control, but let's get into it. At least one person has died after one of Greece's worst wildfires this year broke out on the outskirts of the capital, Athens, on Sunday. Authorities say the fires are now mostly under control with only a few scattered hotspots, but could spark up again later in the week. In recent years, wildfires have become a common occurrence in the summer for Greece as climate change has caused intense heat waves and reduced rainfall in the Mediterranean country, creating ideal fire conditions. So it's crazy now that we're now talking about Athens for the second year now, and this also kind of correlates with Canada, though I've only heard it one time this year. It might just be lesser. They might have it more controlled this time. But I mean, once again, Trump wants to talk about fucking nuclear weapons and shit. Meanwhile, we are boiling alive. We are burning every day. This is yet again record-breaking temperatures. You know what I mean? We're not talking about that shit because it's just becoming commonplace, but like we're still doing that shit now year after year. It's like in some ways, yes, it's very scary, but in other ways, you're just kind of like desensitized to this shit. You know what I mean? So here we are yet again for another round of fires. According to the European Forest Fire Information System, or EFFIS, I'm going to say IFIS in the future, and Greenpeace, 42,900 hectares, or 106,000 acres of land were burned by wildfires in Greece in 2023. This figure is nearly doubled the area burned in 2022 and triple the amount in 2020. Excuse me. While the precise cause of the fires is unknown, the flames began on Sunday at 3 p.m. local time, following a period of hot and dry weather near Varnavas, 35 kilometers or 22 miles north of the capital, Athens. The wildfire spread through nearby pine forests, which had been rendered tinder dry by the intense heat. The flames, which had spread from the wooded hilly area into the suburbs by Monday, triggered panic among residents who had not seen a wildfire close to the capital in decades. Let's see here. The affected areas typically have thousands of residents, but due to the fire happening at the height of the summer holiday season, it is unclear how many obeyed evacuation orders or stayed. Let's see. I know they had a bit of details on the woman. In the suburb of Vrillicia, firefighters found the body of a 64-year-old woman in a factory building just after midnight. The woman is believed to have been an employee who had became trapped inside the area after evacuation orders were issued. That's so sad, dude. Like, do you think about that sometimes? Like, dying on the job? Because I fucking have. I definitely fucking have. In multiple fucking ways. And fire wasn't actually in my top 3, but maybe now it should be. But damn, like, obviously very unfortunate. And, you know, my condolences goes out to her and the family. But fucking damn. Let's see. In terms of some of the damage, local media reported as many as 100 homes suffering damage. They kind of deal through some stories. Obviously, a lot of people are very upset, very downtrodden. You know, I mean, you're in a situation now where you don't have a home, you don't have your clothes, you don't have money. You know, you literally went from being like, okay, fine, you're just having your fucking brat summer to being destitute. You know what I mean? So I can get how that's just like, I mean, that's a fucking fear for me too. Jeez, oh Peach. It's just like literally having a fire, a tornado, whatever. I mean, shit, I'm one car crash away from my life just being like, okay, I guess I don't know what to do now. So yeah, I really hope that these fires are contained, and hopefully throughout the week things don't get worse. But we shall see. I'll definitely be here to keep you posted if I hear anything else. So yeah, I just wanted to, you know, obviously just close with that because I know it's still hot out there, y'all. I mean, I know it feels like it's cooling down, you know, at least here in Ohio. But I know throughout this summer it's still been hot. There's still been a lot of fires and shit like that, and obviously we got fucking hurricanes and tropical storms, all this fucking nonsense. But, you know, that being said, election marches on, so, you know, anyway, that's it. Let's see. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, patreon.com/Isaiah News. You know, get you a shout out once a month. You know, become a newsie, all that good stuff. Let's see. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. I am on the aforementioned X, the Everything app, as well as Facebook, all that good jazz. I will say I tried Blue Sky, I tried Mastodon. I'm good. I'm all right on that. Tumblr, you can find me on there. At least me. I didn't put the podcast on there though. But you get the point. You get what I'm saying, right? YouTube. Hopefully hit that subscription button. That's really where I need you. That's the real work. That's the good work. Leave a like, leave a comment. But I mean, you can do all that on any of the other platforms you're on, and I really appreciate that. Sharing is caring. But I cannot stress enough that you just listening really just makes me very happy. I have a very small listener audience, whatever you want to call it, but I love each and every one of y'all, even though I don't know you. And you come and you go, that's okay. And sometimes we get some goose eggs on some platforms, and that's all right. That's all right. But I really am just happy to see any and all of you. And thank you for listening, and thank you for just hanging out with me. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.